Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jorvik, and in today's video we are continuing our watch along for Agatha All Along. Now, I initially missed this last week because I was out of town, so that's why you're getting this video a week late. I will admit that I did watch the episode when it premiered, but I have not really been online to really look at fan theories or breakdown videos, so you're still getting my initial reactions to this episode, and I think this will probably be better because I have sat on this episode, for 5 days now. I think watching it a second time, really will help my thoughts and probably give a better reaction, better theories, going forward. Especially when we get to one part of the episode, which you haven't watched yet. I'm not going to spoil it right here. I'll talk about it later when we get there. But I'm sure a lot of people already know what part I'm talking about. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and waste no more time and go ahead and just dive right in. As always, we are going to light a candle, really get in that witchy mood. I really need to get me the long the long lighter. So, all right, now let's get into it. Yes, familiar by thy side. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Look, I'm not really like a Abrahamic religious person, but I do like that the show takes the care, into, I'm presumingly, portraying this authentically, just like they did in Miss Marvel as well with the Muslim faith. Vayachivu lifnei Adonai, Eish Sarah Asher Lod Siva Otan, Vatetze Eish Milifnei Adonai. I actually, I've only been to one bat mitzvah, and I did video for it. I did video for the ceremony at the beginning, and then a little bit of the the party afterwards. So it was pretty cool, I guess.
Oh, look at you. Eat this. We are so proud of you.
See, this is one thing I thought was curious, having a palm reader at the bat mitzvah, but it seems to be, I think there was a flyer earlier that says this was like a magic theme, so it makes sense.
To the curious. Are we looking behind us or ahead?
Ahead. I think.
It is also interesting that, as we see throughout the episode, he's interacted with every single, or at least knows of every single member of the coven, which is, I think, really interesting.
Back to the party. Love the vibe in here, though. It's very early Argento.
Argento, he's a Italian filmmaker. Did films like Suspiria, and there's one more big one, and I can't think of it right now, but big in the horror industry, at least from I think the 70s, I believe. Yeah, so we did learn here that Lilia was the one who actually placed the sigil on Billy. So I wonder exactly why. I'm pretty sure that we'll probably figure that out in the next episode.
Sorry. Some kid left this in my tent. Will you make sure that they get it back? Which kid? I don't remember.
I did see people complain about that online. They were like, how could she forget Billy? He was just there. And it's like, did you guys not watch the other episodes with the sigil? I mean, come on.
With the anomaly in Westview, everybody needs to go home as quickly and as safely as possible.
I do like how they tied this into the ending, the finale of WandaVision. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about it more later, especially what happens right here.
William!
Is he okay? No, he's breathing. What? William, can you hear me, baby? Call 911. I don't think he's breathing.
Just, oh. And that right there is when Billy Kaplan died.
Tommy!
All right. You're gonna be okay.
Yep. And there's Alice.
Breathing?
Yes, he is now.
Okay.
Thank God.
Don't move him. There's an ambulance on the way.
And see, what I love about the cinematography, which in a lot of like breakdowns isn't really talked about, because for the most part it's pretty basic, but in this instance, you know, a lot of these close-up shots, a lot of these obscure shots, you know, it really like visually paints the picture of like disorientation. You know, I mentioned it in another video, like probably countless videos. Like handheld work, you know, puts you in the mind of that person that you're following, you know, that type of thing.
We're here with you.
Yeah. Sorry.
The point I'm trying to make is that the cinematography is purposely giving you a visual representation of the split mind, the disorientation, and the way that teen/Billy is trying to figure out what's going on, that type of thing.
Ready?
Yeah, of course.
See, I like this detail too, because there's like a myth that dogs can sense souls or something. So the dog can literally sense that he is a different person, which I think is a really interesting, cool detail that they put in this. And
I'm sorry.
the parents actors as well do a really good job of portraying that, you know, that sense of worriness. You know, they look disheveled, you know, like they've been super stressed, you know, obviously very traumatic time. You know, I mean, they live in the MCU, so I'm sure the last 15 years at this point has been very stressful.
It's no problem, of course.
It would be interesting. There is no indication of it, so I'm assuming that this family was not blipped, because this technically takes place right after Endgame, because at the end of WandaVision takes place like 3 weeks after. So it's interesting to think about. I don't know. Man, dude, the score is so good in this show. I love it so much. I also love the added detail with the mirrors too. Mirrors are a really good way of in showcasing a split personality or just a unique visual style.
It's impossible.
I know when I first watched this, I was really scared that his parents were going to be very hostile, like, towards him, because he's more goth now and he's gay.
The car accident. I never told you about it, but Eddie, I died that night.
It is interesting too, because you got to think about it from Billy's side of it, right? I mean, he doesn't really remember what happened inside the hex, because technically him and his brother didn't exist. He just knows of his brother. And so that soul being dragged into this, and for 3 years basically living someone else's life, I mean, I'm sure it's very traumatizing, you know, in a way.
Here.
Hey, so what do you think this really is then? Aliens?
No.
Also, I just realized that text message chain and behind him, who is Craft Crazy?
This was a spell. Witchcraft. People who were there refused to talk about it. Be bonerific 69.
We got Ralph Boner back, baby. Also, I just realized that Craft Crazy was his name. They just had it switched, I think.
So what did you want to know?
Just start with what you remember.
I remember everything. Nope.
Please don't ask about Agatha Harkness. Please don't ask about Agatha Harkness. Please don't ask about
It's also interesting too that they know
What do you
who
know about
Agatha
Harkness?
Agatha Harkness
Who is Agatha Harkness? She's an agent.
You want to know what I think?
It is interesting
I got
too
sucked up into that red bubble thing like
that
everything
people
else
know
wanted to make.
what Sword is, and people know that Wanda is dead. She's not dead, okay, but people know that Wanda is dead. So, because technically this takes place after Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but a lot of that stuff happened away from people. So I'm really curious on who is updating the world on the status of these superheroes, these superpowered people, because it can't be Ant-Man. I mean, that we kind of learned about from his book, you know, that kind of stuff like that. So, I don't know. Dread it. See, I wonder who knows about Agatha? Like, it has to be other witches, right? Like, who keeps up with all that kind of stuff like that? Even if there are, like, legends and stuff of, like, witches, you know, like, how do these people, like, know that she was involved with the Titanic, with the Hindenburg disaster, you know, that she was the real Jolene? Like, it's kind of crazy.
So, has a suspect been seen in the last 24 hours? She said, only on TikTok.
Interesting, also, they don't show Rio there. So was Rio really there? I think is also something that we should make note of.
Hooligan?
Oh, I missed that part. So he didn't get hit by her car.
What compelled you to break into the home of a decorated detective?
I also just noticed her shirt. It says Boner Family
That's not what I was
Reunion.
expecting, but actually I can
That's
totally
so
see that
funny.
Yeah.
It is also like very it's crazy, like in the first episode, you know, like in Agatha's mind, like that it's so vivid, and that just really shows how powerful Wanda's spell is, even though she's dead.
What were you after?
The Witch's Road.
What road?
Oh my god.
Who are you?
My name is William Kaplan. I'm Billy Maximoff.
That's sick, dude. She's fully covered in mud too. That was probably so fun for her to shoot.
It's nice to see you again. Billy.
See, and I wonder if, like, in some way Agatha cared about Wanda's kids, you know? Because in the comics, Agatha is an adversary, but also is a nanny, you know, to the kids. And she's also involved with the Fantastic Four as well, but that's different.
Don't you dare feel guilty about your talent. You survived. Like witches have been doing for centuries. You saw an opportunity, an empty vessel, and you moved in. So you broke the rules. Big deal.
Mm-hmm. So that is that's a reference to Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, when Doctor Strange possessed a dead body, which the demons told him was a big no-no. At least I'm assuming that's what that's a reference to.
Make it to the end.
But I don't need you anymore.
Let's go find the next trial. Last one there is a nice person.
I'm not that nice.
Makes me wonder what he has done in the past, in the 3 years. All right, so I think I enjoyed that more this second time, because I think, you know, with it's sort of like WandaVision and a few other shows, like you know, in the Marvel show list. There's a lot of episodes that are better on the second viewing, and I know in previous videos I said that I don't believe that he's Billy Maximoff. Like, obviously that was it was obvious, you know, but it just felt like such a it just felt like such a, not red herring, and I know I've used that word before, but it just felt like so obvious. But now it makes me, on a second viewing, it makes me wonder if William slash Billy, I'm just gonna call him Billy, that Billy has been playing them this entire time. And so I think he knows way more than we are led to be, the audience, you know, and obviously with the other characters as well. I mentioned it earlier, you know, I think it's interesting that he has had interactions with all of the members of the coven. I mean, not Jennifer, but he just like watched her YouTube videos, but she was still like present in his life. So I wonder if he maybe knew that she was like a potions witch, you know? And we also learned in this episode that Lilia is the one who casted the sigil on it, and we don't really know why. Obviously she had a vision that he was going to be like this, like he was going to die and become someone else, or, you know, something. Maybe we'll get some of that answered this week. I think this is Lilia's trial is supposed to be this week, the Wizard of Oz themed episode. But yeah, but it raises other questions about Tommy as well, because since Tommy is not a, you know, a witch or whatever, you know, he's just a speedster, how would he still be alive, right? Like, did his soul go, did someone other kid die, you know, at the end of WandaVision, and then did his soul go into that body? I mean, we just don't know. I don't even know if they've even like casted Tommy, if he's even gonna show up in this. Like, it is something that I think would be probably one of the big surprises, I think, because they keep talking about him, so I'm assuming he'll show up, or maybe we'll see a vision towards him. Vision, no pun intended. Maybe we see like a vision or something towards, you know, his existence, and maybe it could play into an Avengers or Young Avengers movie or TV series. But I feel like the Young Avengers, I mean, we have them all now. Like, we have all of them. So I mean, it is very, very possible we can get something. Maybe my guess is that it'll be a project between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Because like, if all the Avengers are occupied with Doomsday, whether they go and do multiverse hopping, whatever, you know, the world still needs protecting. So maybe that's when the Young Avengers will step up. That's just my theory. Let's talk about Ralph Bohner, and obviously the return of Evan Peters from WandaVision. Like, yes, his cameo is played for laughs a little bit, but it is also, I also appreciate that, you know, it shows the mental toll that Wanda had. Well, I guess in this case it would be Wanda and Agatha, because Agatha did more to Ralph than Wanda did, essentially, because we didn't really see that with the rest of the cast from WandaVision. I mean, like, you know, it had been 3 years and they were just kind of following along with Agatha's delusions, so like, we didn't really get to see the full repercussions of that whole event in Westview. I also think it was interesting, there was a line that Eddie said, his boyfriend, which I also think is funny, because in the comics, Hulkling, his name is Teddy, and him and Wiccan are, you know, are a couple in that. Honestly, I think it's one of the best love stories ever written, but that's just me. But he mentioned that, like, I thought it was like an Avengers training exercise, which I think is a cover-up, obviously, because it seems like SWORD and maybe the U.S. government, you know, were involved with that, obviously. So, and it could be a thing too that maybe Val, who we know is going to return in Thunderbolts and has put together this team, maybe she was also somewhat involved with that cover up as well, because we know from Wakanda Forever that she is the director of the CIA. But yeah, but no, again, I really like this episode. I think I feel like I say this every week, but I think this one is my favorite so far. It definitely feels the most rewatchable, and I think only because we now have context to Billy and his existence, exactly how he basically came to be. So again, I am looking forward to the next few episodes. This is episode 6, I believe, so we only have 3 left. I believe it's 9 episodes for the season. Another thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned earlier, Eddie calls Billy his black heart, and that made me, when I first watched it, that made me think a little bit, and I think that implies that, if we remember back in episode 2 when they went to Lilia and Lilia wrote all the coven members, she just wrote a black heart because obviously she didn't know who Billy was. So that makes me believe that Billy is a part of the coven and was always meant to be, and not Rio, which she also mentioned that she has a black heart and it bleeds for Agatha. And I think that was the big red herring. Because again, I discussed it last week. The big fan theory now is that, I mean, there's tons of evidence to support it, but the big fan theory now is that Rio is Death. She's Lady Death, at least the MCU's version of Death. And there are still scenes from the trailer I remember where she's in a more antagonistic role. So I wonder exactly how she plays into the story. And also, how is she even there in the first place? Like, I know they did a summoning spell, for a Green Witch. But it's just, she's not technically part of the coven. How is she allowed to be there? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out in future episodes. Anyways, that'll be it for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the episode and what are your continuing fan theories. As always, if you like this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Join the Van Clan as we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We only have like 2.5 months left, so click that button. It's free. Just do it, please. My name is Jorvik. I'll see you in the next one.